we're going to do a deep dive on proactive alerts. That's kind of the name of the game today, and how they're helping our customers, how they can help you. Before we get started, though, I want to explain this contest that we advertised. Before we get into the demo, we're going to show a few slides, and in those slides, I've hidden 3 movie GIFs. So if you're the first to name the movie in the chat, name the movie that the GIF is from in the chat, you'll get a prize. We're giving away gift cards, and there's going to be 3 of them sprinkled through these slides. We're going to do a few slides on the front, a demo, and then we're going to do some slides on the back. So I think it's fun. So let's get started. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, and right off the bat, we've got our first GIF, and Jason, I think it was Jason in first. Rob, what do you think?
Jason got it first. That was quick.
Man, super quick hands. Will, very quick. That was a close one. So we're starting off hot. So that's what we're gonna do. So that's the first GIF. Congrats to Jason. So for those of you that don't know Rob, I'm joined by Rob Hartwick, Solutions Architect at SupportLogic, because today we're going to do a deep dive into how the companies that we work with are using alerts to really increase their operational efficiency. It's a powerful part of our platform, and there's about a dozen use cases. My name is Ryan Radcliffe. I'm part of product marketing here at SupportLogic. So let's dive in. So with alerts, we all know what an alert is. You know, you're getting notified when a specific thing happens, but these alerts are on steroids because of what they leverage. SupportLogic, as a background for you, SupportLogic ingests case data and uses machine learning, AI, language processing to pick up on customer sentiment and predictive signals that help your support team focus and really help your whole business focus on what's happening within those customer conversations happening in your support queue. So alerts are really about cutting through the noise of the queue and also looping in folks outside with pinpointed examples and pinpointed use cases of what's going on in these cases. I like to think of it like a set it or forget it kind of thing, where you can keep very specific watch on customers, on potential issues. And the reason why it's different is because you're getting these AI signals that are a part of it. So you're not just alerting someone when there's 10 conversation bits in a case or when a specific customer opens a case. It's the predictive part. It's that part that really makes it special. So I want to take a quick poll. I'm really interested in how you prefer to get alerts. Is it over email? Is it over Slack, over Teams? And as that poll comes in, that's another part that's really valuable here, is that you're getting these alerts only when you need them. You're not having to go into a support queue and hunt, and you're getting them in your preferred messaging style. So I think that's a really cool thing. So thanks for that poll. We're gonna move on to our next slide here. So we've got our second GIF. Let me check the chat here, see who gets it first. Will
got it.
Will
got it the first time, but he got it quick the second time.
It's a redemption story. Will has won the second round. This is a Cinderella story. Come back. Love to see it. So let me clear that off so it's not distracting. So where do these proactive signals come from? The answer is that they come from the conversations that you're having with your customers right out of the ticketing system. We analyze these conversations, we pull out these signals, and then what we do is we use machine learning to create these predictive scores and these escalation predictions. So you can see right here on the right, sentiment score and attention score are 2 of these models that we compute that help you determine what cases you need to focus on first. Okay, sentiment score. These are cases where things are getting kind of hot and the customer isn't feeling so good. Needs attention is, these are the cases that you need to focus on the most. Rob, when you onboard customers and they ask about these 2 scores, what kind of things do you tell them?
Yeah, kind of a couple trains of thought there. So they actually go in the opposite direction, which is also just something to note. So the attention score, I tell them, hey, if it's 100, it means they require 100% of, it's like a percentage. How much of my time should I be dedicated to this as an engineer, maybe a support manager? How much time should I dedicate to this? And if it's like 100, it's like really, they want all your attention right now. And that's the attention score. So kind of just focus on how much effort should I be focusing on that now. And sentiment score is more about just how are they feeling. So they might not care about urgency. There's like, this doesn't work. I don't like this as a customer. They're just unhappy, but they don't care about when it happens. I have to have it done, but it's not urgent. So sentiment is it goes the other way around, where low is good. They're generally like, I'm pretty happy with this. This is good. Or opposite, if they're the other way around. So if it's 0, they're upset. They're like, it's really bad. And if they're happy, it's like 100. They're like, just like, this is going great. You guys are awesome. Great job with the support.
That's great insight. I want to take a second poll, and you can take polls by going over to the polls tab. It's the third tab over in Goldcast, which is what we're broadcasting out of. So with this poll, I'm really interested in, when you think of these signals and we talk about proactive signals, of these 3 that we're polling on, what's a signal that you're most interested in? Escalation prediction, product feedback, at-risk customers. These are areas that these alerts can really help your team leverage. So I think it's interesting to see what those results are. I'm going to jump over here, and it looks like escalation is a hot one. And just to give you the feedback on our previous poll, it looks like Slack is something folks are really keen to use when it comes to alerts, which is great to hear. And yeah, we're seeing escalations as the hot one. So when it comes to, recapping before we get into a demo, this is really what this screen is all about. These are the things that we're bringing into alerts: the predictions, the scoring, all the metadata, all the basics in a case tie together with these predictive signals to really make an alert that is valuable for, say, a customer success person or an IT person. And Rob's going to help us get through some of those. So you're freeing people up from having to check into your queue, and they're being notified before a problem happens. So Rob, can you lead us through how customers like Salesforce, Databricks, Coveo are using alerts like this? And I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and hopefully you can lead us through some examples.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so it's actually, it's pretty cool because the general use case that I describe is, and I'll share my screen here in a second here.
Yeah.
There we go. It generally is, we don't expect our customers to be in SupportLogic all day, right? Usually they're support managers or ops teams or whoever they might be, or maybe they don't use the interface at all. They just someone knows that the team needs to be alerted. So yeah, it works really well. So before I get into the alerts a little bit, I want a little bit of context, and I'm looking from the attendees. A lot of you guys are existing customers, so I'll keep it brief. But for those who don't know, generally the console is kind of where we start. It kind of explains a little bit what these alerts are. So for example, if you could look at negative sentiments that we picked up today, we can see that there's a customer that's not happy. And so we'll find a sentiment where they're not happy with this. It's a critical issue. So this is the kind of things that we can alert on. So just to give you how that works. And also the sentiment score too. So this is really high, 95 means they want you to jump in now, like urgent, right? And sentiment's also pretty low, so it's very negative. So these are 2 indicators, because you can alert on the value itself. Is it less or lower or higher than these numbers? So you can really filter in so you're not getting noise on alerts. No one likes that, right? You get 10 of those in a row. You're like, I don't even want to bother. You just put it in a different folder and ignore it. So we want to make sure that you can dial these in, make sure they're really actionable for you by tweaking those. So that's just real quick on the console. You can see what's happening, and that's how we can do that. The other part of it too, just to kind of know the background for these alerts, is the predictions. That's what you voted for in the poll. We're predicting, that these cases might escalate because of a lot of factors, not just sentiment, but also the customer as a whole. Like they opened a lot of cases recently. Does the customer wait a long time than normal than other customers, or even the agent? Like, is the agent already have a huge backlog and overwhelmed, and has the agent already had a negative impact or been involved in a lot of negative cases too? And the agent's again assigned to the customer, and the customer's already pretty negative in general. So all those go into factor in the likely to escalate predictions there. There's a lot more even than that, but just those are the two main things that I want to briefly touch on to kind of explain the alerts before I get into the alerts. So, and the alerts apply to a lot of different teams. So one example I got from was a customer that wanted to ping the product team whenever for anything that was like my product focused, like maybe it's a feature request, maybe there's a usability issue. And so this is kind of an example of what our customers have done in the past where they pick up on the sentiment. So the way these work is on the right side, these are all the conditions you can pick. So you can go through the negative ones and pick negative, profanity, lack of progress. I saw a recent one actually from Red Hat that I didn't see before. And so I created one similar to that, which is an operational alert. So maybe the ops team wants to know that are things being taken efficiently? Is there a problem? So they picked lack of progress because the customer's not seeing it fast enough, right? Helpful call request. So these are things maybe that an ops team which just wants to optimize that and be alerted. And then you have options of how to be alerted, right? So you'll see as this one's a personal one, so just me. But as soon as I add another party in here via email or what have you, if I add Ryan in here, as soon as I add another person here, that becomes a system alert that everyone can see. And so the whole company can see this operational alert. And then you can also notify via Slack. And then for those of you on Teams, which a few of you on Teams, I actually came from a Teams background prior to here, so I had to learn Slack. But Slack is awesome. But Teams too can be enabled. And there's a third one here. There's a whole lot, but you can set up an API to receive all these alerts in mass. We push it out to a URL for the API, so you can use that for your BI reporting and really have. That can be a really big dynamic when you have all your data reporting and have all these lack of progress sentiment signals attached to BI reports, and can be pretty powerful there. So that's one use case where like the operations team, a product team would want feature requests and that kind of thing. The most common one's probably what you guys said in the poll, right? You said you want predictive of escalation, so just likely to escalate. Is a very common one, and then you can notify someone via Slack, either yourself or multiple people via Slack, and then they can be alerted by that. Now, you don't want every likely to escalate, right? Like if a big company, that'd be a lot of those. So you want to narrow it down. Okay, so as a team leader or a support manager or a VP of support, even you could have a handful of things. You could have, as a VP, you could have your hot list. Let's say you wanted to just have your favorite customers, so you can name them by name, right? So maybe you just wanted to have Vandalay because I'm keeping an eye on them. Vandalay is an important account of ours. Maybe you're a CSM. Maybe you're CSM and you're like, hey, this is my account. They're hot. I got to keep an eye on them. I want to see that. And I also want to see this and this and this. You can just add the different sentiments here real quickly and have that also in there. Maybe you want to see positive stuff. In support orgs, a lot of times I work with almost all customers are support orgs. There's a lot of negativity, right? Everything's are always broken. They're always, just always a problem you're solving. And so it's a lot of negativity. And when I was in the support org, it's hard to even think of like that my product works because all I hear about is what it doesn't work, right? So if you want to like work on that, you can actually create a trigger that has positivity. When the customer is really happy, send it back to your team. Have your agent get that. So your agent go, hey, I helped that guy. He was happy with it. And that can really help morale for the support orgs there. A lot of them are more specific to like regions. So if you have a virtual team or any kind of field you have, because you can also do all your custom filters that you've got for region, right? You can add those in here. So maybe whoever's in charge of APAC wants to see those, they can get pinged on that and be alerted by that part of it. So another couple ones is just kind of the case activity. So if there hasn't been an outbound for a bit, you can customize how long that is, whether it's hours or days, and get an alert that way. And then one area that's pretty powerful is the very bottom is the payload. So the default payload has whatever you put in here. So if you add whatever you might add in here, negativity, profanity, whatever you might want to also be triggered by. But the payload, you can add a lot more. So you can customize this. So if you want to See, I want to see the customer name, which also comes by default. You can add that differently. I want to see their attention score. I want to see their sentiment score. I want to see the engineer involved. Just all kinds of things you can add to be able to get more context. So you don't just get a Slack alert that's like, I have no idea what that is. Should I look at it or not? I'm busy. You could actually have that in there. So it'll give you all the details you might need to know if you need to jump on it and take action, right? So all that can be added to really just give you more value to that content.
I like these customer success examples because we offer a Gainsight integration, but a great way for customers to get started with this is, and for customer success to see the value of these signals, is to maybe start with alerts, right? Of, let me show you what your accounts are doing when it comes to at risk or an escalation or a negative sentiment. Let me send those to you and we can start to see what that's like. And then the Gainsight integration is a great way to get that stuff happening right where customer success is already living.
Yeah.
It's kind of a neat thing.
Very true.
Rob, yeah, tell me more about product signals, and then something that you and I were talking about earlier is this this IT element to alerts, right? This the risk that alerts can help.
Yeah. So we had a request from a customer a while ago, and they might be on this live on this podcast now, but they asked that we could search for all the cases where it ever had the word of vulnerability or hack, or because a security team that doesn't use SupportLogic, they wouldn't be in the console looking around for sentiment detection and looking for predictions of escalations. But they all they wanted to know. They want to know is, hey, if someone's talking about a vulnerability, they want to be pinged and be alerted. And so we added a feature that's going to roll out in the next 2 weeks, I believe. I could be wrong on the timing, but it's coming pretty soon, where it allows you to search for free text. So you can search for any text like words or what have you, or phrases. And if it shows up, it can be alerted and alert via Slack, Teams, or email again. So pretty cool stuff you can do where the whole company can be involved in these alerts. Just, security team, I never really think of a security team would be in SupportLogic because it's SupportLogic, but a security team can be involved because we're finding vulnerabilities that they didn't even know about. Or sometimes, when a support org sees that, they might look at it differently than a security team look at it. Whereas security teams will just be focusing on the back end of like what have you. But oftentimes, you probably know your customers are pretty vigilant in finding vulnerabilities in security too. And so having that feedback loop all in a security team is pretty valuable. It's that connection that you normally don't get. Security team and customers usually don't interact a lot like support team does. So this kind of ties in and links that stuff to them automatically with not a lot of work, where a support team would have to, you think about, oh, did I have any cases this week that had to do with security? I don't think so. They're not going to remember every case they handled in the week or the month. And analyzing that and kind of like, you're kind of picking the support manager's brain in general. It's just hard to like quantify all that and package it for an ops team or a security team that might need that data. And product team is probably the one that is probably a sweet spot for support in general for that quantifiability, right? Because you're taking issues that might be the customer doesn't know how to use the product, which is quite often, but it could be a bug, it could be a feature request. And so trying to package all these support cases that you handle, and they go, well, how many of them were actually product issues that product teams should improve on? How many of them were, feature requests? How many of them were just, if they just documented that support article better, if that article was just said this or that, it was just a little better explained, we'd save like hundreds of cases coming in, asking questions about how this works because the article is out of date, right? So all that stuff that you try to like quantify, package, and deliver to the product can be simplified in just a couple sentiments here and just send to them. So that's huge. Those are a couple areas I think that really other teams can really get involved.
That's awesome. Let's jump over to that rainbow slide, as I like to call it, and look at some of those use cases.
Sure.
If you stop sharing, I'll go back to sharing. And then I know we've got one more GIF, so folks, please look out for that. And there it is. Who's going to get this one? We've got
I
one
didn't guess
more
one at
diff.
all. Brian tried it earlier. I didn't guess it at all.
This one might be a stumper for people, I think. Oh, Pearl's got it. Bridesmaids. Well done. Nice. Awesome. Great work. So, you know, we've been talking about a lot of this use cases, and that's what I like about this slide is showing how you're plugging into the CRM you're already using. You're using the messaging apps that you're already using, but you're adding this whole machine learning AI thing to it to help really alert you on and alert your whole company on the things that you need to know about before they bubble over, right? So you're getting alerts with IT, you're getting alerts for managers and agents and support executives, and it's also helping folks outside of the company because those are the folks where you don't want them in the queue, but every once in a while there's something that they need to know about in the support cases. So that's why alerts are the perfect way to do it. If there's a particular hot account that even your CRO or your CEO cares about, you can set them on an alert when they open a case that has a specific threshold of them not being satisfied. Rob, I know you went through a lot of these, but do you have any others when you see this slide that come to mind?
Yeah, just those hot lists too, because if you set up your list properly, like as a CSM that has a group of customers, you can create a virtual team of all those customers, and you just call it, hey, the CSM's hot list, and you can change that as you go. And then that virtual team can link to the alert. So there's ways to package it where it's not, you're trying to make it really automated for you is good. And the same, I didn't cover it a whole lot, but the virtual teams would be good. Some executives have their own little hot list, right, of ones to keep an eye on. So you can incorporate that. And even, it could be some even finance too, and one of them that's pretty valuable is like the churn risk. When you say churn, eyes kind of perk up because it's like, oh, we don't want to lose customers. We have a couple signals like that can be valuable. We don't come out very often, but when they do, you kind of want to get a few people involved and figure out why, right? So those are the ones that can also be pinged to some good people there.
Definitely. And I think where this all ends up is like, what are the results of these actual alerts? And that's what I love about this. And I'm not going to read these stats, but here are some of the results that our customers are seeing. And alerts are a huge part of how they're getting these results of cutting escalations by 56% or 40% NPS for Fivetran. These numbers are about getting folks to focus on the cases that they need to focus on. If 100 cases come in, they know exactly which 7 or 8 cases to focus on right now. And alerts are a huge part of why that is. And you can explore these case studies on our website. And we just released a big Salesforce case study this week that kind of dives into the details. So, Rob, thank you for joining me. Thanks for going through alerts. Folks, if you enjoyed this webinar, once a month, we're going to be talking about a specific part of the platform. Next month, we're going to be talking about customer support analytics. I'd love for you to join us. You can go to your media tab in the app that we're using right now to broadcast this, or you can go to supportlogic.com resources, events, and webinars to sign up for the next one. Rob, do you have any closing thoughts?
I was going to say, I was migrating a customer from Salesforce to Zendesk or vice versa, I forget. But in the process, we had their alerts off. It's one of the customers, I think one of those customers there, but in the process, we had to turn the alerts off for a couple of days. They really felt it. Like, they're like, man, we got to get those back on. So, I rebuilt the alerts for them as quickly as I could, but it wasn't like a small task. They really felt the impact of having the alerts off. And then my last thought is also on Salesforce, for example. They told us that their management, upper management, they really have onus on the alerts. And the reason for the success is a lot about onus. So they would say, okay, this alert is assigned to you and you need to take action on that. And so we found generally, like, these aren't just suggestions. They're like, if you get it dialed in to where you need it to, you have someone taking action on it, that's when you really see those results.